and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof.
Montana looking, wrong in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
Oh, okay. There we go. Had lots of technical difficulties getting in here, but that's pretty much the norm for us now. Anyway, you can. This is Sports and Sorts. We go live every Monday and Saturday morning around 10 a.m. I'll just start saying around 10 a.m. because to go live at 10 a.m. we just come across too many difficulties. So we'll just say around 10 a.m. But
Just stop making promises you can't keep.
I know, seriously. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button. You can also find us on podcasts as a podcast anywhere podcasts are played. Just type in Sports and Sorts or go to our website at www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. And of course, I am one of your hosts. My name is Shane Moore,
And I'm the Brian Man.
and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ShaneandtheBryman, on Twitter at Shane and Bryman, where we post all of our videos and other newsworthy topics. And lastly, if you comment during the show, we will put it on the screen. Today, got a lot to talk about. Super Bowl review, MVP, Brady, Belichick, legacy, Saints fans gathering together in a huge protest against the Super Bowl commercials, smack talk, movie trailers, and so much more. But we got a great show, so let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman.
So first things first. As we said, we possibly could have been jinxes for the Rams. The Super Bowl, it was absolutely boring, incredibly boring, to the point of where I was I was fixed to my couch because I was just like, I couldn't move. I had no desire to get up and cheer or chant or anything. I was just sitting there like a blob because I told my son during the third quarter, I go, he's like, because he's asking me question after question after question after question after question. But I'm like, Cam, this game is incredibly boring. He's like, well, yeah. He's like, nothing's really going on. I was like, no, it's not. It's a defensive matchup, kind of. Like, they're not making any real huge plays, but they are holding each other down, and it's just incredibly boring when your punters take over the game. But this isn't like most defensive matchups. It was supposed to be two geniuses going head-to-head, particularly with Sean McVay, who is supposed to be this great offensive mind who lives and dies by the play action. Well, it didn't work out very well yesterday. And I mean, there were two records in this game that I know of that happened. One was the longest punt in the history of the Super Bowl. And two, they also tied for the lowest scoring Super Bowl game. And those are two stats that you don't really want shining a light on your Super Bowl.
Those are what you call dubious distinctions.
I like your words. You have big words. And you use words. It's great. So anyway, this was not a fun game to watch. I mean, as a person who dislikes the Patriots, I am wearing my Yankee jersey because it's officially. I mean, we can really say that it's baseball season,
baby.
Yeah, pretty much. We are almost there. Yep. We're like what, a week away from pitchers and catchers, or not even.
Yeah.
So we this game, I some people would say I detest the Patriots. I don't.
I would.
I don't detest them. I know you detest them. There are certain things about them I detest. But after this win, the Patriots have these three figures. You have Kraft, Belichick, and Brady. They have 6 rings now. Does Brady and Belichick have to go down as the greatest duo in history?
Look, I'm sorry to beat the dead horse to the glue factory here, but I can't do that. I just can't do it because their past is so checkered that it's hard for me to do that. I'm sorry. There's a reason for those asterisks. You don't get the hate that the Patriots get just because you win. We've talked about this so many times. To me, although if you want a legit answer to the question, I'd probably say Bill Walsh or Joe Montana, to be honest. I think there's an equally great argument to be made there. Mm-hmm. The number of championships is not the same. But I think the one thing, Joe Montana's clutch factor in playoffs and in Super Bowls is almost unmatched.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would say about Walsh, too, is, again, this is more along the lines of his legacy than necessarily the two of them together, but his coaching tree is just fabulous, whereas Belichick's is ridiculously awful. And hopefully Bill Belichick's coaching tree gets infinitely better. I will be rooting for that personally because I have a vested interest in it, because Brian Flores is on a plane right now on his way to Miami to probably there will be a press conference today in Miami to announce him as the new Dolphins head coach. But no, to answer your question, I mean, look, most people would say they're number 1. I will say they're number 2 because I'll put them behind Walsh and Montana, and I'll stand by that. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a ridiculous statement to say that Walsh and Montana are in that conversation. But think about, how many coach quarterback duos have there been that could even sneak into that conversation? Chuck Noll, Terry Bradshaw, Walsh, Montana, Brady, Belichick. Who else you got? I mean,
you have Elway and was it Shanahan?
Shanahan?
Hmm?
Yeah, again, the problem that you run into is you're eventually at some point the quantity of championships enters itself into the discussion.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I think,
because you got to look at it though, as a whole, like how they did it for such a long time, and and he's had so many different teams. Here's what
I will say about Brady and Belichick. And look, I could be, I know, I love, my favorite term is how people call people who don't like the Patriots are just automatically referred to as haters, except the problem is Patriot fans never actually stop to think about why they're hated so much. Yeah. They just like to say that word because it makes them feel empowered, as if like, ooh, I got you, I dropped the mic on you because I called you a hater. And you don't really think about why you're hated. But anyways, here's the one thing I will say about Brady and Belichick, though. It really has just been them. Julian Edelman is a great player. He has inched his way into the conversation of kind of putting himself with those guys, because now he's been around for half of those championships. Gronk a little bit too, but the one thing I have to absolutely say is that Brady and Belichick have primarily done it together almost on their own. I mean, they've had other good players kind of come and go, but when you think about, look, the one thing Montana did have was Rice, and he had John Taylor, and he had Roger Craig. Okay, Joe Montana had some all-time great players with him.
On defense,
on defense, Ronnie Lott. Specifically, though, Jerry Rice, who you and I both agree and believe is the greatest football player who ever lived.
Yeah.
So, now, you can't say that about, and actually, the one great, truly Hall of Fame wide receiver that Brady had was Randy Moss, and he never won a championship with Randy Moss. He won it with Edelman, and he won it with, he's got Chris Hogan and, the Wes Welkers of the world and all that. But the truth is, it's mostly been Brady and Belichick, and that is one thing that you do have to give these two guys. They have been together. It has been them kind of, just cheating and lying and deceiving their way, all the way along. But look, they've done it together. It's mostly been them. I have to tip my cap to them a little bit, much as I don't want to. As for the game itself, man, this was a tough game to watch. It really was. What made it worse was it was just kind of like everything was bad. I wasn't really into any of the commercials. I thought they were kind of all. There were a couple that I was like, oh, all right, that one's nice.
We'll get into the commercials in a little bit. Yeah.
And the halftime show was just putrid.
I don't know. There's not very many halftime shows that are actually very good.
I thought Gladys Knight did a nice job with the anthem and with the flyover was cool. And then it was just kind of all downhill after that. Mm-hmm. It was a tough game to watch. It was. At what point? Did the Rams have 8 consecutive punts? That's just. Oof. And look, bottom line, the Patriots game planned very, very well for the Rams. I wonder if in our lifetime, Todd Gurley's playing time is going to be one of the great mysteries in Super Bowl and in playoff history because he says he's fine, mm-hmm. and all you see are these pictures of him on the sideline looking like he kind of wants to get into the game, but then again, not really. It was that whole thing was inexplicable to me. I can't figure it out.
He came out in the media and said he is not injured.
Yeah, I know. I don't know that we're ever going to get clarity about that because I have a feeling McVay is going to be very buttoned up about it, or he's just going to give you some kind of answer that's very distracting, like, oh, here's the truth. Hey, look over there. I just don't think we're ever going to – I don't know if we're ever going to get a real reason for that. But you know what? Look, bottom line, they did a good job of pinpointing the weakness in this offense. And the weakness in this offense right now was Jared Goff. Jared Goff did not play well the second half of the season. His numbers drastically dipped. He was really almost a non-factor in the playoffs for this team. Mm-hmm. And they said, look, we'll do our best to take away C.J. Anderson. They didn't really have to worry about taking away Todd Gurley, and we are going to make Jared Goff beat us. And he could not. And the other thing that they did that was really smart that I still cannot figure out for the life of me how, look, it's one this the Julian Edelman run through the playoffs should have been one of those, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, mm-hmm. fool me a third time, shame on friggin' everybody. Mm-hmm. Because Julian Edelman was open all day against the Chargers. We remember that, right? Mm-hmm. He was open every time that guy caught the ball. He had a 10-yard circumference around him. There was nobody even in the same zip code as he was.
I like I liked it in the first half where Tony Romo even said, he's like, he can throw to this guy because they showed like a whole graph of like a chart of like the percentage of completion and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was a cool stat. But then they said, and then he has a 62% chance of completing this pass to Julian Edelman. And he's like, and if that's a 62%. He's like, that's like 100% for Tom Brady every single time. Like, he is wide open. Like,
so then the next week, you think, okay, Andy Reid has his demons, but he's an experienced playoff coach. He's going to shut down Julian Edelman. He's going to double cover him. Yep. He's going to bring a safety up to help, and they're going to double cover. They're going to bring Eric Berry in from the secondary, and they're going to shut Edelman down. They are going to make Brady and Hogan and Gronk beat you and not let Edelman get that open because that's the Patriots game. Their whole game is this intermediate passing game where they can dunk the ball over the middle and Edelman can do damage and they can just work their way down the field. Andy Reid doesn't do it. Edelman torches them. Then I'm thinking yesterday, there's no way. There's no possible way Julian Edelman is going to see daylight in this game because he's going to be blanketed by whether it's Peters or Talib is going to be on him, and then they're going to bring in a safety. They are going to completely take him out of the game. They have to. They absolutely have to do it. and they could not do it. And Sean McVay said after this game, he was outcoached.
Yep.
He admitted he was outcoached.
Mm-hmm.
But he outcoached himself because you needed to double team him. Look, I know you don't want to leave. Gronk is almost impossible to cover. He really is. He's a hard guy to cover. It's almost not worth putting two guys on him.
He's easier now because he's not as fast.
No, I know.
But he's still got good hands, and he's a big dude.
But he's so big that even if you double cover him, he's strong enough to work guys off of him that he can still make a play. Okay? I don't mind leaving Chris Hogan in single coverage. And then you got to just be able to stop the run. You got to just be able to prevent Sony Michel from running through you. They really couldn't do that. Michel had a good game last night.
He had a lot of bad runs, but he had like several, about 4 to 5 really good, like 12-yard, 15-yard gains.
They went right up the gut of that Rams defensive line. Now, here's the thing, though. So the Patriots said, we're gonna take away the run, and we are going to take away Brandon Cooks. And that's what they did. That guy had a couple of receptions, he had a few receptions, but for the most part, they took away Brandon Cooks, and the reason why was because they double-teamed him. They double-teamed him. They did not allow him to. They said, look, first of all, we're not going to let this former Patriot beat us. And on top of that, that's going to be Goff's go-to guy. He's going to be looking for Brandon Cooks. And he couldn't get him.
He had a decent game. He probably had the best offensive game out of all the players.
He did because he's so talented. There's only a certain point to which you can hold a talented guy down.
He did drop a touchdown. Although he was pass interference, but he did drop a touchdown. The guy he had his arm.
He dropped that one in the end zone.
Yeah.
That there was the one that was broken up, I guess, in the end zone too. But that was Goff's fault because he should have gotten the ball to him earlier. If he had just gotten the ball,
that one, yeah. No, I meant the one I think it was after that, where he was in the end zone, but the guy, he had his arm.
Well, he also missed that ball though too.
The guy had his arm.
Well, there was a lot of, there were a lot of calls that I don't want to dive into.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's because you can't go into the calls. I don't. But but he still should have caught it.
But the bottom line is, the Patriots game planned really well on defense. Flores and Belichick had a great game plan for this team. They really said, okay, look, we will not completely take away the run, but we'll take away the run enough to the point where the focal point has to become Jared Goff. And Jared Goff is going to have to find somebody else other than Brandon Cooks. And he couldn't do it. Robert Woods was nowhere to be found. Where was he?
Yeah, he had like 4 or 5 catches for 60 yards or something like that.
I can't believe he even had that much, to be honest. Yeah. It was kind of a joke. And the bottom line is, McVay, the Rams look like a team that went in there, and not only did they not have a game plan, but they looked like they didn't even practice. Like they hadn't even practiced. They looked like a team that had about 3 or 4 days notice to play this game, as opposed to the Patriots who had 2 weeks. I mean, it just, in some ways I'm stunned because the Patriots defense all year was sort of bend, don't break. Yeah. And earlier in the year they were bad.
They were all over. I mean, Goff is mad at himself. He said he should, and I think that he should be. I mean, he said that he was mad at himself, because it sucks. He was in the Super Bowl and he didn't play as well as he had wanted to. But he should be mad at himself. He did not play well. But to give the Patriots some credit, they were all over him. Like, he had zero time to get back in the pocket and do any of those play action passes, and that is their bread and butter. And they could not just step back. They could not go to the shotgun and just try and run an offense. That is something that apparently they cannot do.
No, so I will tell you the one thing I'm very, very excited for as a Dolphin fan, and I was not when I first heard about the Brian Flores hiring a few weeks ago. I was like, okay. This is basically a linebackers coach / associate head coach / kind of defensive coordinator, but not really. But I will say the one thing I do like about the Dolphins hiring this guy is he is very aggressive defensively. He gets after the quarterback. And that has been a major, major bugaboo for Dolphins coaches in the last few eras because they have not been with the kind of personnel that the Dolphins had on defense. My brother and I had the conversation so many times. Like, we never understood why they wouldn't dial up more blitzes and be more aggressive trying to get to the quarterback. they just never were. And Flores seems to be the guy. Now, again, don't get me wrong. Brian Flores has some talented personnel on this Patriots defense.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins are going to have to build up their defense a little bit. But they're the bottom line is a lot of that comes down to mindset too.
Uh-huh.
You say we're going to bring the heat, and look what happened last night in the most pivotal moment. They brought the heat late in that game, and Jared Goff had to get rid of the ball, and he threw the ball to a wide open Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
And that was the game right there. So, look, I mean, good things happen when you're aggressive on defense. I think the only time it can really backfire is actually if you try to be too aggressive with a guy like Brady, because he can get rid of the ball quickly enough. And he makes very quick, guys like Phillip Rivers who can get rid of the ball quickly because of the quick release. Brady doesn't have like the quickest release. He just knows that he has to get rid of the ball fast.
He has a good clock in his head.
The clock
timing.
is the timing and the clock is impeccable. He doesn't have the Marino Phillip Rivers-esque release, but he has the timing.
Yeah.
And he knows how much time he has. And so that it can backfire on you if you're overly aggressive with Brady. But with Goff, Goff is essentially a pocket passer. I mean, they're both pocket passers. Yeah. But Goff really, he never used his legs. There was like nothing creative about what the Rams did.
No.
Like, what were the Rams expect? I mean, do you remember, I was saying to my father-in-law last night, he's sitting on the other couch, and I'm like, I don't get this. I'm like, McVay is supposed to be this offensive guru and this genius, and have, you would expect in a game like this, that this is where you see a really aggressive playbook that you haven't seen all year. And if you look last year, what the Eagles did, the Eagles were extremely creative. Forget about just the Philly special or Philly or whatever. The Eagles were creative that whole game. They were thinking outside the box the whole game. McVay looked like a guy who didn't even think he belonged in the same building with Bill Belichick. He seemed like he was completely perplexed by that moment, by the whole pomp and circumstance of the event. It just didn't look like he was up to the task. And look, you had the most prolific offense all year, and you put up 3 points, and it took a 3-yard field goal to get those points?
It was a long field goal. And then of course, Greg the Leg missed that one at the end.
I mean,
Gostkowski missed the field goal. I mean, it was a brutal game to watch.
Oh,
I mean,
it was horrible.
I would have to say that Patriots fans, they had to even be bored at times. Because, I doubt it. I mean, if I was a Bills fan, I don't care. If my Bills were in the Super Bowl and they were and the game was being played like this, there was times I actually walked up away from the TV during the game.
You wouldn't have if you were a Bills fan. I mean, if you were a Bills fan, that was
a game like that.
Oh, come on, dude. There's no way. I mean, you're. The game. Look, I mean, if you're,
I am there when it comes to football,
and the game is that close,
when it comes to football,
away from the TV. Yes, it was a boring game.
When it comes to football, I am there to be entertained. It has nothing else other than that for me. And if it's not entertaining, I get bored with it.
But the game was still close, though.
But it was
that's
boring
how I
as
couldn't
hell.
walk away. Now, if you were going to sit here and say, "Well, it's 27-3 Patriots," and you want to get up and walk away, and I'd be with you on that.
No, because they weren't doing anything. Like both teams, they couldn't move the ball.
I know, but
so it was boring. So I would get up during the game and walk away to the refrigerator, go get something else. It was a terrible. This is a team I can't stand, and it was that close. I dislike the Patriots just as much as I like the Bills. It's an even for me. That's how much football's not a sport for me that I absolutely love. It's a sport for me that I just want to be entertained. That's why I don't like going to watch the game live. I think it's the most boring event ever live. It's a perfect TV event. So that's why I watch it, because it is entertaining. Tony Romo was he was bored. You could tell he was bored during the game because of how even his comments throughout the game. He was bored. And this is a guy who has been great all season long. They didn't know what to say. Because it was so incredibly move the ball a couple inches and then punt. Move the ball a couple inches and then punt. And then it was just, I couldn't take it.
So let me
brutal.
ask you. I mean, I've never seen the Dolphins in a Super Bowl. You've seen the Bills in 4 Super Bowls. Are
Yeah.
you telling me that in one of those, what was it, the Redskins one, where they could just completely annihilate it? I mean,
I was too young. I was bored, probably because I was so young when that happened. You know, you're talking. I'm like a 12-year-old.
Well, maybe it's just different for me because I've never seen the Dolphins in the Super Bowl, and for me, the Dolphins are the one. That's the only thing that has escaped me in my entire sports life. It's all that's left. It's all that's left. So if the Dolphins ever get to a Super Bowl in my lifetime, which remains to be seen, but if they ever do, I'm not walking away from that TV.
Well, you're more emotionally invested with your team. Like Tim said, he said you're not as emotionally invested with this game than you are if the Bills were in it. And you know, 'cause he's actually posting on the show today. How's it going, Tim? He said first Giants-Pats Super Bowl was 10-7 entering the 4th. Not boring at all as a Giants fan.
Right, but I mean that's a low-scoring game.
You are. I don't know. That's a low-scoring game, but it's tight. But it's tight.
Here's the bottom line: when a game is that close, it doesn't matter. I know it's boring. I know there were like 8 consecutive punts by the Raiders, but when a game is that close, it takes just one great play to completely turn the game in one direction or the other. I mean, at one point that game was 3-3.
And that was the Gronk play, where
the game was 3-3 entering the 4th quarter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it was boring. It was tough to watch, but one play at that point turns the game either way, swings the game either way, and you in a Super Bowl champion is crowned. I mean, my father-in-law and I kept saying to each other, whoever scores the first touchdown is winning this game. I mean, it was pretty obvious that that's how it was going to be. You know, I mean, yes, look, I understand. It was a tough game to watch. It really was. There was Trey Wingo, I think, was on this morning, and he was like it was like the Wingo and Golick show. So like the two Golicks were there, the father and son Golick, Mike, and I don't know if it was Mike Jr. or whatever, but Mike Golick and his son, and then Trey Wingo. Trey Wingo was like screaming at people on Twitter. He was like legit mad at people on Twitter because all they were complaining about was how bad the game was. And he's like, well, you're complaining about how bad the game was, but you don't turn it off. Well, first of all, you have every right to complain about how bad the game was. And if you don't want to see stuff like that, well, then don't invent things like social media where people can go on and utilize the platform to bitch and moan about everything. You have the right to complain about it being a bad game. Newsflash, Trey Wingo. It was a bad effing game. It was arguably the worst Super Bowl ever. That doesn't mean you have to turn it off just because you're complaining about it. Also, I would ask...
I'm not going to turn it off because I still wanted to see the Super Bowl.
Last night.
I wanted to watch commercials. So that's why,
What else are you going... So
did you see the tweet? Did you see the tweet last night with LeBron? How he's out there rooting for NBA rumors because the game was so boring.
No, I mean, right. I mean, is Trey Wingo going to go yell at LeBron James now because LeBron James is bitching about how boring it is? You have every right to complain about how boring the game was. And look, I'm sure CBS wasn't thrilled about it. I mean, this was a disaster. I mean, it was a disaster on like so many levels. And then, the results sucked for most of the country. Yeah. The bubble that I live in, that we live in up here.
But you got your $1 Dunkin'.
I got my $1 Dunkin' this morning. It's fine. I got my coconut caramel with skim milk, iced decaf. I'm good. Nice, I'm fine. Nice. Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's $1.
It's $1. All right, so we don't have to keep beating this game to death because it wasn't a great game. A lot of defense people that love defense are like, "What are you talking about? It was great. They were showing this defensive matchup and going back." I'm like, no. I watch the reason why football is good is because they've changed the rules to make scoring easier. That's why football has gotten to where it is right now, because they have figured out that offense creates more fans, creates more viewers, and makes the game more fun. And that's why they've changed the game the way they are, and it's brilliant. Problem is this game just was absolutely brutal and not that way. But I did want to get into to stay on the negative here a little bit. I wanted to so the Saints fans had started a big rally, and they got a bunch of fans together to protest against the Super Bowl. Like not watch the Super Bowl, just get together and do something else, I guess. The Saints need to get over this. They need to get it over. Bad calls happen. Jeffrey Mayer, he helped the Yankees beat the Orioles. Eric Gregg, extremely wide strike zone, calling out Fred McGriff in a pitch in the NLCS that was a foot outside, and he was calling it all day, but still, they were like a foot outside. Jerry Rice's fumble that was ruled down when he clearly fumbled. The Niners went on to win. Jordan pushing Russell way out of the way to give the Bulls their 6th title. How about Kent Herbeck pulling Ron Gant off the bag? How about the tuck rule? Jim Joyce ruining a perfectly, a perfect game by making a terrible call at first. It goes on and on and on. You got to get over it. You got to move past it. It is over. Shut up, suit up next year, and play football.
All right, so a couple things. I don't particularly have a problem with Saints fans being mad. First of all, that wound is still relatively fresh. It's 2 weeks ago. And
bad calls happen.
I know. You've said that. Thank you.
It happens all the time. You can't complain about it that much.
But it was only 2 weeks ago. I would say in a year from now we won't be talking about that. I mean, Saints fans eventually will move on, but I think
it'll happen at the beginning of football season next year. It'll happen.
I think you have to give Saints fans time to grieve. The other look, in some ways, their protest was actually somewhat legitimized by the fact that the team that beat them went out and scored 3 points last night. And I remember, again, turning to my father-in-law last night and being like, I'll tell you what, I don't know that the Saints necessarily would have won this game, but I can tell you one thing, they would have put up more than 3 points. I have no doubt about that, and that's a guarantee. And the reason why is because Drew Brees has been there and done that, and he can play in a big game, and Jared Goff had nerves last night. He was not ready for that moment. I mean, you could see it on his face. You could see when a guy is nervous, when the moment is probably a little too big for him. He's a Super Bowl neophyte. Drew Brees has won a Super Bowl. Drew Brees and that Saints offense, which is, it's certainly more balanced than the Rams because apparently the Rams and their all-pro running back don't have a good running game. Kamara and Ingram would have been able, I think, to move the ball a little bit better on it. I'm sorry, you can't tell me that the Saints would not have put up a better game. You just can't. If not outright won. I mean, I'm not, look.
I don't know because they didn't get there.
They didn't get there, and I don't blame, but look, I don't blame Saints fans for being mad. I really don't. It wasn't just a blown call. It was the blown call of blown calls. It was horrible. It's so bad. It was such a and it was such a blown call though, that now the NFL is considering, and they're probably going to do it, they're going to put in some kind of measure to prevent that kind of crap from happening.
Well, yeah, that's
how
all
bad
you
of
can
a blown call
You have to go to more robots or replaying more, doing more replays.
Well, let me
they
ask
didn't have
you
that
this.
in place, so it's over. You can't.
Let me ask you this: if that doesn't happen and that blown call doesn't take place, do you think that that's happening this offseason? No.
Well, no. Yeah, something has to happen for things to change.
Yeah, and it was that bad. It was egregious. You can't blame Saints fans. They were robbed.
Right.
And don't give me that crap about how the Saints had their opportunities to win that game.
They did.
As I said before, NFL games, like all sports events, ebb and flow. Just because you get up on a team big early doesn't mean you're going to win that game. Doesn't mean that you automatically just get to apply the foot to the throat. Sports events, it's like life. They ebb and flow.
Right.
Things happen. If you get up big on a team, you have to expect them to come back.
Yeah. Well,
for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Teams don't get blown out.
And they did. They came back and they beat the Saints.
They came back and they beat the Saints. So that what I'm saying though is that you can't just sit there and say, "Well, the Saints had this opportunity.
They did.
13-0, and they had that opportunity." The bottom line is the Saints were going to win that game. They were going to win that game because Lutz was going to kick a field goal. It would have been good. They would have moved on. I can't fault Saints fans.
You don't know that. There was
mad.
a lot of field goals missed this year. There's a lot that you can say. You can say if. The fact is, they had more opportunities. They did not score.
And look at the representation we got in the Super Bowl because of it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's what happens.
Matters to the Saints and their fans.
Yeah,
It's hard. Look. I want to see you make this argument when something like this happens to the Bills.
I have no problem doing that.
Well,
I have been adamant about this all across. I have always said.
Yeah, but you've been adamant about it because
human error.
You're not a Saints fan.
Human error. No, not just this. Everything across the board. Everything when it happens against the Yankees with bad calls. I just say it doesn't matter because
How many
It's
bad
human
calls
error.
against the Yankees do you remember? If you're an Orioles fan, okay, look, if you're not over 1996 as an Orioles fan,
doesn't-
I'll give you that one. Like,
it
at some
does-
point, you do need to move on. But this happened 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. Saints fans get a little bit of a pass with me right now.
It doesn't matter. They are all like. It doesn't matter if with the Red Sox, with the Yankees, with anybody. It doesn't matter if it's human error.
What to you
It's
is the
human
proper?
error.
What to you is the proper grieving time for that?
You
How
can
long
grieve
do they
as
get?
much as you want. I don't
Why
care
can't
about that.
Let them protest. Is it? Why can't they? Why can't let them? Who's it really impacting? Why is it bothering you that they're out there protesting? Why do you
Because
care?
move on. It's
But
a
why?
game.
You're asking. We're talking about. Does it sound like a game?
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yeah,
We're talking about sports.
Right.
We don't just treat it like a game.
It is a game. And the problem is that they can't move on. Like, you need to move on and get past this.
They will move on. Saints fans will move on. They're just not quite ready to do
see.
it yet. I don't blame them.
We'll see. I think it's absolutely. This has already been discussed
Look,
by
here's
the
the-
NFL to make a rule change. You don't need to protest it further. What are you going to do? What else is it going to accomplish?
I think the other thing that's happening here is that for Saints fans, and I can kind of understand this, there is a bit of a cumulative effect from the last 2 years. So you had the year before that and the way that game ended, that divisional game ended against the Vikings in Minnesota, and then you had this on top of it. I mean, I think it's been a rough last couple of endings
their
to
fault.
the years.
That
for
was
Saints
their
fans.
fault, completely.
Very brutal. And that one was on them, but I mean, this one was. I'm sorry. I can't. But I still think in all my years of watching sports, and in all my years of watching NFL playoff football, I believe that is one of the worst non-calls I've ever seen. It will pop into my head quite a bit. It was really bad. Look, it was a once in a lifetime bad call. Quite frankly, it really was. I mean, it really was. And I think the thing that makes it kind of worse too is that you have NFL replay to right wrongs in terms of possessions and stuff like that, but you don't have anything in place, although we probably will, to right wrongs that weren't called. I mean, look, if baseball at the time of the Jeffrey Mayer incident obviously did not have replay, but I guarantee you, if they did, that's not a home run. That's fan interference.
Yeah.
That's going to be fan interference.
Well, yeah, now, yeah. Absolutely.
But, we have I guess I'm actually kind of just more irritated at the NFL. Look, I understand human error. But if you're going to implement something like replay, I mean, at the beginning, they probably should have said, you can challenge certain things, but you can also challenge non-calls. And if you get it wrong, they got to figure. I mean, look, I think they should put something in place because that was an absolute game. That was a potential season-changing call for the Saints. The Saints very well could have been Super Bowl champions if not for that non-call. So they have to do something, and I think they need to figure out a way to make the penalty. What did I hear? I heard something good the other day that said if you get the call wrong, like if you challenge it and it's still up, and they review it and they say, no, we're not throwing a penalty there. That was not a penalty. We can't. There's not enough evidence to. Then you need to get penalized. And I think one guy said it should be like a 15-yarder, and one guy said it should be like a 5-yarder. I think it should be in the middle. I think it should be like a 10-yard penalty, because that will, depending on the time of the game, and that will make you think twice about making a challenge like that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the Saints. In that scenario, I believe the Saints would have won that game. Do we know for sure? Of course not. But I can't. It's been 2 weeks. I just can't. I'm gonna give Saints fans a pass.
But they got what they already wanted, which is to get something moving in the right direction.
Saints fans wanted to win that game.
Well, I know, but they
they
didn't get that. You can't change that.
They were the victims that are causing a rule change.
You can't change it. But the NFL had already come out and said that they're going to look at it and review it and change how things are done. But they're still protesting. It's just there's nothing. You can't accomplish anything from that. Anyway, let's move on to the Super Bowl commercials because we only have about 4 minutes left. Super Bowl commercials. I want to get into some fun stuff here because we had some good ones, some not so good ones. I want to talk a lot more about the good ones, like the Hyundai ad that they had with Jason Bateman going up and down the elevator. I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, everybody loves Jason Bateman, but I thought that was pretty funny. It was a long commercial. Hyundai's spending some serious coin, but it was, I thought it was pretty good. Another one was The Close Talker with Colgate, with Luke Wilson. That was kind of funny. It wasn't great, but it was kind of funny. I don't know if you saw that. It was...
Yeah, I think so.
He was like walking backwards in everybody's face and just really close.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, actually, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. The Luke Wilson one, yeah.
The one that I really laughed at really was pretty hard, and I didn't think I was going to because I could see where it was going. But the Pringles one, the sad device.
Oh, the Pringles one?
Where
yeah.
he's like, how many, and then she's like, the guy's face while he's looking at her complain.
Yeah.
And then he said, cool, play Funky Town.
Right, yeah. That one was okay. For the first, I thought the Jason Bateman one was, early on, I thought that one was probably the best.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Amazon one with Harrison Ford obviously stole the show for me, but
that was really good. Yes,
it was good. It was good.
It was funny. That was funny. And the more I watch it too, the more I laugh at it.
Yeah, no, my brother sent me a text. He's like, Harrison Ford's doing commercials now. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. What is he doing? The guy's like 80 years old. He's just waiting around for Steven Spielberg to be available to do Indy 5.
But he's getting that Amazon money is what he's getting.
Now he's getting, he's got that Bezos money now.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Bezos, he's got a little bit less, he's going to have a little bit less soon.
He's got to invest in the company and get more money. He's got to get back up there. So he's got to.
Not like he needs to advertise though.
What about, did you see the Devour Frozen Dinners one?
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
it's so weird, but I was kind of like, this is kind of funny, but also kind of weird.
Yeah, you know what though? There was the one thing I will say was there was really nothing that blew me away as far as being like a great commercial. I will tell you
the one that the NFL did, the gala, the 100 gala, NFL 100.
Oh yeah.
That was good. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
I actually thought the best, if you want to say like a best commercial, I really thought the Microsoft one was really good.
Which one was that?
With the kids that they where they have that like that new remote, for kids with special needs.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. That was a really nice commercial. That was very well done. It was very well produced. Obviously tugged on the heartstrings. Mm-hmm. That one was good. The one that was that kind of like the one that it was pretty early on too because Melissa was watching it. And it was the Bud Light one that intertwined with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, damn. She's like, that was kind of violent. She's like, he just crushed that guy's skull.
You didn't see it,
and my wife,
but you know what's going on.
My wife watches Game of Thrones, and I do not. So, like, I didn't really know who that character was or anything. I mean, obviously there was a dragon there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, people died in that commercial.
I thought it was pretty funny.
I mean, he's out there, they're out there doing the joust. He gets knocked off the horse. Next thing you know, his skull's getting crushed. And it was like, whoa. that escalated.
That went dark quick.
It did. It really did. So that one kind of like caught me a little off guard.
I also like the Bud Light commercials where they were doing a little bit of smack talk on Coors and Miller.
Dude, the corn syrup thing really...
Yeah.
But, it was kind of funny where they're like dragging the barrel around different castles.
I don't know how effective it'll be as a marketing campaign.
Like, we got our corn syrup shipment last week.
Yeah, he's like, oh really? Hey, why don't you go up to the hills and Coors?
Yeah, go up the hill to the Coors Light,
the castle, Coors Castle. And he was like, then the Coors Lights guy, he's like, no, oh yeah, that's ours. Yeah, absolutely, that's ours. Yeah, give it to us. Yeah, thanks.
They're very excited to have their barrel of corn syrup.
Yeah, just to reiterate, we use corn syrup.
Right. Yeah. There were some of them were okay. I didn't think it was great.
No, I mean the Stella Artois one was pretty good. With
with the dude,
Sex and City, and the dude.
Yeah.
And and the Dos Equis guy that was there. Like they had a bunch of like that were
they did sort of pull out all the stops for that commercial.
That was pretty good.
Because you had
there was a lot of decent ones. The ones there was one that was really weird. There was a couple that were really weird. The Mick Ultra Pure Gold with Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
The what is it? The ASMR that they now it's not a good commercial at all. It wasn't a good commercial. It's not like it was good like the way that it was done. They tried to go off this no spin that with like the ASMR and all that kind of stuff that's going on. That's kind of popular right now. Zoe Kravitz, she's an extremely attractive girl, but this beer that she's promoting is pure trash.
Yeah.
And I don't want anybody to get fooled out there about being organic, because whatever's organic about this beer, it does stuff to your insides that is unspeakable. I have had it twice in my life. And I had to do a controlled study here. I almost died of dysentery.
Well,
both times,
thanks for taking that bullet for the rest of us.
A week apart. And that's all I want to mention, is that there's something off in this beer. And it's not good. And even the Mick Ultra Robots commercial, that was weird too. Like, oh, robots, you can't drink. Suck it.
First of all, there were just too many robots in general.
Yeah, robots, you can't drink. Suck it. Like, what?
Yeah, it was.
But I will say the one that I actually liked the best was the Verizon Wireless First Responders, the most reliable network commercials that they did. Yeah, probably the best for me. I mean, you got to see, what's his name? Lynn.
Anthony Lynn.
Anthony Lynn, yeah. You got to see him and hear his story.
That was
and
nice.
Everything. And I mean, for me, personally, I wouldn't be here without first responders. As it is, I almost died without them. And even with them, I almost died. Like, that's how I would have only lived 19 years on this earth if there were not first responders. And now I'm 40. I have a couple of metal rods in my legs, a torn PCL that will never get repaired. But I am more thankful for those people than I can even put into words. I have 2 great kids, an awesome wife, and without them, I wouldn't have had any of that. So it was one of those messages that really, tugged at my own heartstrings. I was like, oh yeah, man, like these people that go out there and do this and see all this tragedy and just try their best to like absolutely, help anybody out and everybody out in these extreme circumstances is just absolutely incredible. So he has the new Telluride by Kia was nice. So was the e-tron. I don't know what the e-tron was, but the Telluride one, it was a bit weird. I thought it was all about the unknowns, the Kia, they're all unknown. If they could get the checks that celebrities get and put it and get the fame, like they don't have any fame and they're I was kind of like, over your car? Like, all right. I mean, I like the Kias. Kias are nice vehicles, but... Oh, the Audi. Oh, yes, that was pretty cool. Yes, the Audi one, where the guy was like... I think he was dying at his desk, and he was like choking on a cashew, but you didn't know that, and he was like seeing his father again for the first time, and he's like, oh, or his grandfather, and he's like giving him a hug, and then it's like, oh, here's the car, and he goes and he sits in it, and it's this like Audi electric car. That was cool.
Did you walk away from the TV when the A-Rod commercial came on?
I did not, because I didn't know he was going to be in it.
You didn't get up immediately and sprint away from the couch?
No, I didn't.
I thought that was like rule 1A. No, A-Rod shows up on TV, you walk.
No, not on TV. Just in a Yankee uniform.
Oh, in a Yankee uniform.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is. Fair. Yeah, but I saw that, I was like, this commercial's so bad. The Planters commercial, I was just like, ugh, this is
wasn't good.
And then he's like,
the peanut came in for the save. Yeah.
A-Rod. Mm-hmm. That's his acting. That's how much acting chops he has.
Yeah.
Just no thumbs up.
just stick to being on Fox on baseball, where nobody else wants you either. So.
Oh man. All right. I think that's pretty much it for our show. I mean, although there were some good movie trailers. Endgame. That was good.
Good, solid.
Really like that. That was something.
The little Toy Story spot was kind of funny.
I didn't see it.
I
missed it.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it was only about 20-something seconds, maybe 30 tops, but it was all right.
Only
it was all right. I mean, it
$2 million or whatever it is to do that little ad.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see Endgame. Endgame's looking good.
Like Disney's hurting.
Although, I will say, Endgame.
Yep.
Obviously, most of us have a feeling that Tony is not going to die in that craft up in space, right?
Obviously.
He's not going to die up there.
But
they showed him.
Give that away.
They gave it away in this. Like, they just did a huge spoiler. Like, it's him and what's her face, Nebula. That's in there, like working on something. Yep. It's like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
Come on.
We all know Cap's dying, but
it does not look good. I'm not sure who's living I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be gone. I think Tony's going to be gone. I think Thor might be gone. I think there's going to be a lot of people that leave. The Captain Marvel spot, that was okay. Yeah, it was pretty good. Clinton was talking about
Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel looks good.
I'm excited for that movie. I think it looks pretty good. But yeah, just in general, I thought the commercials were good. They weren't great. Like, there was nothing that blew me away.
They were better than the game.
Hashtag true facts. All right, that's pretty much it for our show today. We are going to sign out after that, and let's see. Get you your alien music. Yes. We're going to be signing off in just a few seconds. Thank you guys for listening or watching, however you took it in. If you listened to it on the podcast, where you can find us, you can also go to www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman, or at Shane and Bryman on Twitter. Find me on Twitter at Einhorn Finkel.
Find me on Twitter at _Bry_man.
And you can, I think that's pretty much it. Find us. Search us out. Don't. I don't. Whatever. It was nice to see Tim Callahan on the show today.
Yeah,
making some. I
think he wanted to see me go like bonkers about the Patriots, but you know what? I will tell you
because he ain't us.
I will tell you though.
Which he's a Giants fan. So
he's a Giants fan. But I will tell you though that being off of Facebook, having officially retired from Facebook, and not going on there has been cathartic in many ways, but it's been liberating in the sense that, it sucked that the Patriots won last night, but I can tell you in all honesty, I was not really as bothered by it as I think I would have been if I were still on Facebook and still having to fight that fight.
Yeah.
And that is gone now. It's gone. I have no idea what took place on Facebook last night. None. And I have no inclination to look.
Oh, you missed my picture then with the kids, because my daughter
I saw nothing.
My daughter has a Gronk jersey and my son has a Brady jersey. I was, in between them. And
being off of Facebook has been liberating, and it's given me more time, and I'm enjoying it. I mean, I can, it's been great. Not having to go on there and see anything from Patriot fans was really fun. After the game ended, I went upstairs last night. I put on TV. The Frighteners was on, and I was like, hey, I like this movie. I think I'm going to watch it for a little bit. It's great. Awesome. I don't miss Facebook. If you have the means to get rid of Facebook, I highly recommend it. It is no choice.
It hasn't really interrupted my life and social media in general. That hasn't really interrupted. The only thing that interrupts my life on occasion, where I get lost in the rabbit hole, is YouTube. That's the place where I get lost from time to time. That can get but it's it doesn't happen all the time. It's occasionally I start watching something on YouTube, and then their algorithm that picks up something that's very similar, boom, 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 and it's oh man, rabbit hole. There goes an hour.
YouTube is a problem for me. Actually, I got caught up over the weekend watching
me too.
Transformers videos.
Yeah.
From Dr. Smooth. Stuff that I've seen a million times, but for whatever reason, I just keep watching it because it's funny. I like to laugh at the same things over and over again.
Yeah, I was watching, I think last week I got sucked into, this whole, joke stealing and comedians and everything like that. And, it was, Carlos Mencia and then Amy Schumer and all this different stuff. And I'm like, why? And I'm getting down the rabbit hole. And I was like, what? And I was like, I just gotta, this doesn't matter. I gotta stop. Yeah. Put it away.
Yeah.
And then with the other night, I got stuck up watching, Ellen.
These babies are time sucks, man.
Ah, man. Ellen. I was watching Ellen the other day. I'm watching clips of her show.
Oh, wait a minute. So I actually have to tell you that me being off of Facebook. So do you get how you get that weekly report from your phone that says your screen time went up or down? Guess how many hours my screen time dropped because I am not on Facebook anymore.
I can't even.
3 hours.
Wow. That's a lot of hours.
My screen time went down significantly just being off of Facebook.
Yeah. See, I am so bad on social media. I don't go to Facebook very often. My Facebook app, when I look at it per week, when you see it, it's in the minutes range. I don't get over an hour throughout a whole week.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
God, I'm awful.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's
you know what's bad when it went down 3 hours and there were still another 5.
Yeah. I can't even I wish I could even look it up. I don't. Where is it? Right here. I'll tell you right now. Why not? Let's see where I'm at.
Well, it doesn't help too because when we're doing this show for an hour or so, I have the screen on like the whole time, so I can see the comments and stuff. So I mean that counts towards it. But
So
Facebook,
20 minutes. All last week, 20 minutes on Facebook. On my phone.
Oh, that was your. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Twitter is a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I probably.
But that's still in the minutes.
This time on Twitter, but
Yeah. It's I don't know.
You clearly have a healthier balance in life.
I guess. Everything on mine is all like my Dexcom, which is my for my blood sugar.
Yes.
That 10 hours and 6 minutes because I'm constantly looking at it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Text messages 8 hours. Lots of text messages going on. Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
I see. My problem is I keep my phone open. So like I'll have it open and I'll just leave it open, and then like during this whole show, I had the text messages open just in case we were going to text back and forth. So text messages. Yeah.
Because we got to go. So.
We got to go. Yeah. Absolutely.
We went over.
Yeah. Oh, actually, 16 minutes in Twitter. Oh, I actually spent less time. All right.
Well, we'll see you on Saturday.
Talk about some baseball, maybe. Finally, Machado and Harper will sign. Talk about basketball. Yeah, that's never
They're not
happened.
playing. They're not playing this year.
They're just going to retire.
They're going to hold out.
They're going to retire.
They're going to hold out. They're going to wait for the. I don't know what they're holding out for, but this should have been the year of Machado and Harper, and they're going to both get contracts that are in like either the low 2s or under 200.
1-year contracts. Good job, guys.
Yeah, we can talk about that more on Saturday because I have some thoughts.
Okay, sounds good. I'll see you later. Peace
Thank you,
out.
Lassie. Later.
Bye.